the largest gathering of professional engineers, technologists, technicians, craftsmen, and other stakeholders in one place to network, to learn, to explore new technologies and innovations, to evaluate and discuss issues of mutual interest in order to achieve the desired imperative for commercializing engineering for national development. It's been a very beautiful day. Today we are at the 30th COREN Engineering Assembly, and I'm reporting from the International Conference Center here in Abuja. You are welcome to 30th COREN Engineering Assembly, taking place here at the International Conference Center, Abuja, Nigeria. For those who don't know what COREN is, let me take a while to walk you through the meaning of COREN, C-O-R-E-N, its responsibilities, and what the COREN Engineering Assembly is all about. The engineering family. COREN, C-O-R-E-N, stands for Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria. It is the body that oversees the regulation of engineering in Nigeria, formerly known as the Council for the Registration of Engineers in Nigeria. It was established by Decree 55 of 1970 and amended by Decree 27 of the 1992. Registration with COREN enables a bachelor's degree holder in any engineering discipline to use the prefix ENGR, that's engineer, before his or her name. There are other cadres registerable with COREN, such as engineering technologists, engineering technicians, and the rest. The engineering family. COREN Assembly is the biggest gathering of all engineering practitioners, engineering firms, and stakeholders. It is an annual event that does not have any fixed date, though usually takes place in the month of August each year. The purpose of the gathering is to discuss technological innovations and advancements, problems of engineering, and ways to move the practice of the profession forward in Nigeria. Thus, it is a must-attend program for all engineering practitioners in the country. The 30th COREN Engineering Assembly comes up on Monday 8th to Wednesday 10th of August 2022 at International Conference Center, Abuja. The theme for the 2022 COREN Assembly is Domestication and Development of Codes, Standards and Regulations as a Panacea for Engineering Infrastructural Failures in Nigeria. The body organizes an engineering assembly as an annual event designed to bring together all engineering personnel, that is, engineers, technologists, technicians, and craftsmen, consulting firms, contracting firms, and stakeholders in the public and private sectors to rub minds on issues of national development. Attendance is mandatory, since COREN statutes provides that engineering personnel and engineering firms must attend the engineering conference, such as COREN Assembly, to satisfy the minimum requirement for continuing professional development in order to remain on the COREN register. At the conference, experts from different fields of knowledge relating to engineering were also invited, and they make the following presentations.
Now, engineers, just like other professions, medicine, pharmacy, nursing, there are codes of ethics. There are codes of behavior. That is the reason why if you go to the hospital and a doctor looked at you in the face and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Salim, you have cancer." Instead of you to doubt him, you start praying. You start thinking about what you're going to do with your life. Because you trust that doctor. Because there's a standard he usually follows to diagnose that disease. The same thing with an engineer. If you're building an edifice or you're building a road and an engineer comes, and that's another thing I don't like about engineers. They walk around with jeans and t-shirt. So he comes with his jeans and t-shirt and said, Oga, we have to get this millimeter iron rod. We have to get this for your building in order for the building not to collapse. You're not going to argue with him. Because you believe they know what they are doing, because they know the standards. And they are not lying to you because they are registered with COREN, so they have ethics. If they break those ethics, you can report them, and they will lose their license. So the whole society depends on the ability of people to follow their standards, the code of ethics, and to do what they are supposed to do. Now, we have a lot of issues with our infrastructure in this country, from roads to building collapsing. Now, everybody knows, at least the learned people here know. I know you're not lawyers, but I like to think engineers are learned too. So they know that if a building collapses, there are possibilities. One possibility could be the iron rods are not up to specification. Another possibility, the mixture of the concrete is not up to standards. Or the fact that the foundation did not follow the standards. You will see in one of the things they put for me here, there is a building that was like bending a little bit. I don't know if he's trying to do buga or he's just trying to do this. But the point is, standards are not followed. So when a building collapses, you not only lose money, but lives are lost. So the topic for today is very relevant to the issues we are going through.
Recommendations. Based on the foregoing assessment, the code in respect of challenges and solutions for modern infrastructure, where the following are adduced as recommendations are: 1. Legislation for compliance and enforcement of building code must be advocated for and passed into law by the National Assembly as a matter of urgency. 2. Proactive measures to be taken through training at various levels of all stakeholders. 3. Raising awareness of what the code is all about and its importance toward the built environment. 4. Is provision of a resourceful technical support to the code users. 5. Simplifying the code requirements and domestication by state governments for proper implementation in accordance with the local parameters. And 6. Enlightenment among the professionals through the regulatory bodies and the professional bodies through advocacy, lectures, seminars, conferences, and symposia. It is therefore pertinent to note that the building code has touched on all aspects of our built environment and certainly go a long way in providing solutions to the challenges of the building code for modern infrastructural development in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Because also engineering is defined as the application of science and mathematics to solve a problem. So that's why sometimes if I see COREN, NSE, I wonder that, do I have to have a certificate engineering degree to be an engineer? While if you look at the origin of the profession itself, the people that started it, they don't have any certificate. So why are we limiting it to only those with degree certificate to be a members or to be called an engineers? Conduct sort of practice for them. So it is a challenge to COREN also to look at the meaning of engineering, to look at the profession, to see who do we need to bring on board so that they can follow
Let's round
the
up now.
engineering
I've given you one
ethics.
extra minute already. So
Thank you. So we need you to get the other people that use science and math to solve problem to also follow the engineering ethics standards and codes. Thank you.
Form of introduction, the construction sector has one of the largest contributions as far as gross national product is concerned. It's stated that the minimum as far as gross national product you can get, the minimum is 10%. Okay, fine. Okay, the minimum you can get is 10%, but as of today, the highest we have in Nigeria is 6%. Given the potential as we compare the gross domestic product with other countries, you discover that Nigeria is at the very, very low side as compared to other countries. Knowing fully well that the Nigerian construction sector is yet to realize its full potential, there is the need for us to see the possibility of the construction sector capturing as many labor as possible. Please, next, please. I don't have time. In terms of population, it is estimated that the world population is 7.5 billion. By 2030, we are expected to reach 8 billion. And by 2050, by estimation, the world population is expected to reach 9 billion. So 9 billion with this population, you should expect that infrastructure must be in need. And when I mean infrastructure, I'm talking about buildings, roads, all the basic things that we need to the day-to-day running and comfortable of mankind. Next. Knowing fully well that this infrastructure needs to be constructed using materials. You need to know the knowledge, you need to have an information, knowing the properties of these materials plays a vital role. For you to know this information, you need to identify what is the quality of material you need to use in order to construct an infrastructure with. And these properties of materials is what we are going to be discussed as far as standard is concerned. Next, and so forth. NIBRI has carried out a lot of case studies on building collapse. And it has been identified that the factors responsible for collapse are as follows. 1, poor material usage, poor supervision, not adherence to standard, lack of following regular profession, overloading, poor construction procedure, illegal demolition, lack of maintenance, just to mention a few. These are factors that has been identified and has been proved that they are the factors that affects, that causes building collapse. One predominant factor that is appearing is lack of adherence to standard, and that is why we are here and we'll be discussing standard. Next. Normally, we did a lot of innovations, but our shortcomings is standards. We need standard to back up innovation, no matter how good your innovation is. If there is no standard, you cannot operate, you cannot convince, you cannot talk very much about it. I want to briefly go through some of the innovations NIBRI has done. One area NIBRI has come up is in the area of pozzolana. Pozzolana is a supplement of cement that tries to capture a replacement for cement, not necessarily in 0%, but as a supplement. Where you are expected to use 100% cement, you use 70-30. And you come up with a material that will drastically reduce the cost of cement.
5 minutes more, Prof.
That one of the...
5 more minutes.
5?
Yes, please.
Okay. One of the peculiar problem we have is the issue of cement. Normally, what is causing the cost of building to go up is cement. I want to inform us that if we have a substitute or a supplement of cement, there will be a paradigm shift from the normal cement to a supplementary material that will drastically reduce the cost of cement. If the cost of cement is reduced, I want to assure you 20 to 30%, the cost of building will also reduce. NIBRI has come up with a very wonderful innovation called NIBRI Dismantable House. It's a house that you can move from one point to the other. We're able to display it during Science Expo that took place here in Eagle Square. It is a building we can hire a land, build a house. When the owner wants it, you move it to another place and build it. And NIBRI has done wonderfully in that area. Next, let's see the pictures of those houses. Let's see the pictures of those houses. You can see this one is this place. It is a story building. You can dismantle it and move it to where you want. Next picture. All these are dismantable houses. You construct it where you are expected to take 3 months to build. You build it in 7 days. And the building is there. And it has been proven. We have done it in Eagle Square and it is still there. All we need is to back it with a standard and it becomes something innovative. In conclusion, There are a lot of materials in this country, and they are in abundance naturally. All we need to do is to tap into them. But for us to tap into it, we must carry out research. We must investigate. We need equipment to ensure that this material is standard and it meets the standard requirement. We need a way of bringing out procedure for using this material. We need to bring out the possible strength you can get from this material. And this information is necessary to be shared so that it will be accepted. That material must be regulated in terms of regulation. It must be enforced, and we must create awareness for people to use this material. And once that is done, all these innovations will be backed with this material. Recommendation. Finally, next page, before the hammer of magic will fall on me. Next page, next page. Finally, in form of recommendation, there is Presidential Order number 5, which ensures the use of local content, either from professional point of view or from materials point of view. We need to key in to that aspect of Presidential Order number 5. And how do we key in? There are 2 things or 3 axes of things to do. Next page. 3. If we can get these 3, we can key in comfortably. 1 is the use of local content policy. We need that policy to be on stake, which is the Presidential Order number 5, to use local content. Local content has quite a lot of advantages. The material is available in this country. The material is available, you can see it, you can use it. It has the same weather, same temperature where the infrastructure will be constructed. All you need to do is a standard to back it up. And for you to have a standard, you need to have a good research. You need to have a good equipment. You need to have a good way of doing things with the technical know-how. And finally, but not finishing, you need funding, money to back up. Without funding, no meaningful research. Thank you very much.
Yes, the title is very clear. It is regulatory obligation and education and enforcement of standards, codes and standards. First, let me congratulate Nigerians for the gains at the Olympics, of the Commonwealth Olympics. Well, regulations, the obligation for regulation, simple, is just to obey them. And I can hear everybody is keeping quiet, because in one way or the other we flout them, intentionally or unintentionally. So standardization impacts on our lives, so it defines us and whatever we do. Next. Now, mysteries. The DJ of Son is here. Surprisingly, a lawyer. A pharmacist, sorry. He has been working with standards. If he cannot work with standards, he would have been killing people. And likewise, we as engineers, if we dare not work with standards, the whole world will collapse. Now, what are the codes? Well, let's go back to codes, standards, specifications, and regulations. From my interaction with engineers, we confuse specifications with standards. If you ask an electrical engineer what the standard for installation, he will tell you so size of conductor for which circuit. That's all. That's a specification. But the standard is even the material, even the process is stated in the standard for you. So, regulations. I have defined what is a regulation, what you are supposed to do with regulation. Next. Mr. Go ahead. Now, the definition of standard. In the simplest sense, a standard is an agreed upon way of doing something. When we agree this is the way we do things, it becomes a standard. But defined by ISO and IEC, standard is a document established by consensus and approved by a recognized body. Nigeria Son. that provides for common and repeated use, rules and guidelines or characteristics for activities or their results aimed at the achievement of the optimum degree of order in a given context. Benefits of standards, we know it. First, it allows for safety of products, safety of processes, safety of equipment, safety of everything. There must be standard on that. Then it reduces duplication, because if you have a standard way of doing things, you don't have to start thinking of reinventing the wheel. Yes, it reduces conflicts. If you know exactly what standard you are going to use, there won't be any conflict. Next. Practicing engineers need standards. We all need standards to do our job. And if you are used to a process without standards...
Mr. President, you have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes more, sir.
5 minutes. I'm done. So, academia, industry, collaboration. You know, it's dear to my heart and to you that we must collaborate between industry and academia. For us to move as engineers and technologists and researchers, please, this is the only way to go, because it has been operating in the developing world, and we cannot reinvent the wheel. So we must collaborate. There must be that deliberate collaboration between the academia and the industry. COREN Council, as a committee, has just created a committee on standards. Next.
While lectures were going on at the conference hall, the exhibition hall was busy with matters from within and outside Nigeria, displaying their products, goods and services, seeking for investors, partners, buyers, and etc., as you can see.
Yes, I can see. It's great.
The engineering family.
Yeah, thank you. At the display, this is shoe side. This is electricals, clothing. A lot of things. Thank you.
Later.
Yeah, you see all this happening here. It's really good. Thank you.
Yo guys, this is the end of today's content. Other interesting parts of the engineering assembly will be coming your way in the subsequent editions of our program. Please leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comment section below, and don't forget to smash the like button. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider subscribing. Most of all, from African Lens Extra, we say thank you for watching to this end. Have a nice day.